And for someone like you who's been who works a lot every single day, and you're human, and you must have burnouts too. How do you deal with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Burnouts for me, I think, have gone through, different stages depending where I was at in my career.
Mm-hmm.
And what I started to really recognize is s- at the root of a lot of burnouts, and I'm going to say relationship again, it really comes down to like where is it coming from, right? Sometimes if we look at our teams, it could be an underperforming individual that like you constantly have to be on top of, or you have to make up for. It could be a boss or a supervisor that is particularly difficult, that doesn't have an understanding of what you're doing every day or what your struggles are. And most of my burnout in my career, I really at the time, because I can say this now because I come with experience, right? But early in that developing career, you just think it's overwhelming, and you start to self reflect, and you go, maybe I'm not putting enough effort in, maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe this isn't where I'm supposed to be. And a lot of people get twitchy in their careers because they just feel like they're not in the right spot. But if you really dig down deep and you start to look through a lot of those issues that come across, whether it be just being bombarded with information, your filter's wrong, right? Like you don't have somebody curbing this off. If you're not being viewed as performing, and there's lack of information from the top down to understand what you're doing, like now the onus is on you to communicate it. And that can be tough because how do you communicate with the person that is your boss every day? Like we all see authority figures in life. It's hard to do this with your children. They're like, I don't my teacher doesn't understand. I'm like, make them understand. But they're my teacher, right? Well, how do you break in? How do you break in and have that conversation? And I truly believe like we can fix a lot of that burnout burden, that overwhelming burden, if we do a better job at communicating. And if we can break in and have those tough conversations, listen, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it means they're not where they need to be.
Mhm.
Sometimes it means you're not where you need to be. Like sometimes at the end of that conversation, we root out that, a relationship's not going to work, or that we don't have a skill set, or we're not going to understand. And maybe we need something else in our professional development to get us there. But at the same time, I've found more times it's true that when you have that conversation and you open up an avenue to a greater understanding, whether it's up the food chain or down the food chain, people start to understand where you're at, how you're thinking, how you're approaching things, and they become human with you because now you've built that conversational relationship where you can talk about things that aren't part of your normal process. And it can be hard. I mean, as somebody in my position, I report to a board of directors, right? There's 9 folks in a room that all need to understand what I'm doing, and the onus is on me to communicate that, right?
Mhm.
Like it's not their job to have a better understanding. It's my job to be better at communicating. So I've got to be able to meet them at their level. I've got to understand who they are, what perspective they view from, what their skill sets are, what their the visibility of what I do is. And if there's gaps to fill, I need to fill them, right? And that means I get to put the extra work in. But guess what? The burnout goes down, the stress levels go down because you did what you needed to do,
Mhm.
and then we'll root out the rest later. So, yeah, there's a lot of personal effort that has to go into stabilizing that burnout level that can come with, especially, and it's I was going to say especially higher level positions, but that's really not true. I think across the board, we put more and more expectation on people in whatever role they have. And it's because we're all being pinched. We're being pinched because it's right back to we're competing for people's attention.
Mhm.
Essentially, employment is purchasing someone's time. Okay. It's a competitive environment. We've got less people to do a lot of the jobs that we really, really need done. Right. And sometimes we have more people to do the jobs that we don't really need done. So we're trying to work with folks then not meeting them at their level. So like there's bigger issues that go with it, but if you put the work in to communicate, if you kind of like hit the pinnacle of the stress level and the burnout level and you fight it with extra communication, extra time, extra effort, guess what, you take that peak out, and over time the better job you do, the peaks get lower and the valleys get higher, and you begin to stabilize that. And that's truly what it means to be part of an active working, not just organization, but community, family, a country, the world, right? Like that's what we need to look at.